Hello dears, now come to discuss on the HTML form validation. So this is the empty page, empty form created. So let's start. So why we first you should know should learn why we do validation. So validation is necessary because sometimes you cannot left some text field empty or you have also practiced that there is some limitation on the password size, like we cannot enter password more than 8 characters, or you cannot enter uh, password in pure number or character, sometime mix. So there is a validation, so there must be some constraints that should be imposed on the attributes, and that is actually the validation. So let's start something on the validation. So we took form. Let us suppose I create some text field for the name. I say enter your first name, for example, and this is closing label. And for example, I say input type is equal to text, and for example, the ID is, for example, first. Okay, so until now you have not applied uh, any validation property, so this is wrong. Okay, now it's okay. uh, and this label is for ID first. Okay, so I will come to browser and will refresh it, so you can see enter first name. Okay, uh, I take a button for submission, so button, and then I take submit. Okay, so what this button will do, it will submit the form. So uh, you can see here now, submit, it will submit the form. But here we have not created any action events, so in actual it is not submitting something. But you can see here, I have written nothing in this text field, but there is no message. So if there is no words written in this text field, and if I press this submit, so there should be a message that please enter your first name, or something like you cannot left this empty, etc. So this will be through validation. So just I will write here required. This means this field must be required. So if I press, please fill out this field. So again and again this message will be displayed. So if I write something, so now it will be submitted. But as there is no database and there is no action performed, so it will uh, submit. But for empty it shows this message, but for some writing text it does not show it. So let's come to discuss some more example using validation. Suppose I create another text field. So for that I will take paragraph and closing paragraph tag, and I will copy it and will paste it, for example. So for username, enter your username, type text, and id is equal to for username. You can also write here the name. Okay, for example, I write name, and name should be usr name, any name for this. So this is id is for using an identifier inside the label. So let's refresh the browser. You can see another text field is created. So if I left both of these empty, so the message displayed only for this, not for this, because we have not set validation property required for this one. Now, if I take more constraints like the minimum length, the maximum length, such that username can be minimum 1 character, maximum 20 character. So I will write minimum length is equal to 5, and max length is equal to 20, suppose. So what will happen if I refresh this browser? So I will write, if I submit, so it will be submitted, because although this one is empty, but if I enter some text, so it should be between 5 and 20, but I can left it empty because there is no validation required property applied. But if I write 2 3, so please lengthen this text to 5 character or more, you are currently okay. So I write 1 2 3 4 5, then okay, it's okay. Now you can submit, but remember that the length is up to 20, so you cannot enter the greater number. If I so this was about the maximum and minimum length. So you can also set it as a required, so now you cannot left it empty. So please fill, you have fill it, but now other validation constraints are also imposed, that is the minimum length. No, now it's okay. So let's solve some more example, like if I take email attribute, input attribute. So for example, uh, let's I take a url. Okay, so url is also the input attribute for the forms. So enter your url address. Okay, and I set this as a url, and id is equal to url. Okay, so there is no such properties applied, no need of name. For example, let us suppose please lengthen this. Okay, it's submitted. Okay, text type should be url. Take it other name like let's take address. Let's take id, or addr. So take the name which is different from some reserved words. So I save it. I come to this. Please enter URL. So this means it is not a text field, it is a URL. For example, if I write www.google.com, for example, please enter URL. So this means I have not written it correctly. Okay, now it's okay because www.http double slash www.google.com is now okay. So this means you must have to write the correct URL. So you can apply more validation property like for email. Suppose I apply the email label for ML, for example, and ID identifier is EML. So I can write interior email. Okay, and text type I take should be email. Now, if I take, so this should be not left empty, this should not be left empty and should be greater than 5, and this should be this, and I write ABC. These three are okay, but you can see, please include an at the rate because email must contain at the rate. So ABC at the rate, for example. So please enter apart following at the rate. ABC at the rate is not possible. So I write at the rate dot gmail.com. Okay, now it's also corrected. So this was all about the validation and hope you enjoyed today's lecture. So thank you so much for watching the video. Thank you so much.